Welcome to the Zach and Sully podcast. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. My name is Sully. I'm over here in Lee, Massachusetts. Over there in Columbus, Ohio, is the new postgraduate Zach DaCosta. How's it going?
It's going good. For a second, I was looking in the right corner to see if like the live button was on, and for a second, I saw it was yellow, and you were just like. So if we get to this point in the video where it was like a little, if we get back to the point of the video where it was a little awkward in the front, that's what happened. But yeah, it feels good to be done with school, to be a graduate. I'm excited, really am. Got a lot of work applying to jobs in places this year, so got to start this week. So yeah, it's been good. Ceremony was brutal, though. Brutal.
Yeah, you mentioned that. See that my ceremony was pretty brutal, but I enjoyed it like crazy because it wasn't too long.
The thing is, we get down to the art pack where I was, so it was divided. So like Brian and his mages were at the field house, and I had to go to the art pack. So they say they were leaving at 11:15. So I get there for 11 o'clock thinking, okay, I'm getting here a little early. We don't leave till 12. So I'm there for an hour standing around with like kids I barely even know. I mean, I'm with like 4,000 kids in this section. Then we march all the way to the stadium. Takes a while to get in. And I remember sitting down in my seat. I was in Block O North, and I remember sitting up, and I thought that like thousands of kids had came before me. And I looked down on the field, and it was an endless number of kids in cap and gowns coming into the stadium, and I was like, "This is going to be terrible." And they did like this honorary members for like these awards. They all got this introduction. It was like 7 of them, and then all the kids who got their masters and PhDs all got announced by name. We were all sitting there like 2 hours in like, oh my God, this is awful. And then I just remember just like it taking forever. But like, at the end, like when I got everything, it was great, but holy shit. It was.
I think my graduation day was literally the best day of my life, but it was so much shorter. I think it took 2 hours altogether.
I'm not to complain. It was a great day, but the ceremony to me, like, I don't know. I don't agree with the whole name calling out thing for the PhD and master's thing. I'm sorry. Like, you made the choice to go to get extra school. Like, I get it. Like, it's a big accomplishment. But when you have a group of 11,000 people sitting behind you to get their degrees, that like doesn't that make you feel like a huge ass? Like. You don't feel guilty at all? And then they left early. I was so mad about that. I'm like, no, get back in the damn seat. You're going to sit here through all the agony that we've been going through while we listen to every single one of your names get called. So I had a problem with that too. Like, how could they let them do that? As soon as I saw them standing up and exiting the stadium, I was about to yell out, no, get back in your seat right now. You were sitting through this entire thing.
Now, did you pregame the commencement, and did you bring any drinks with you?
I declined to comment on that, but I will say I did not bring anything into the stadium.
Because we did. We brought bottles of champagne. It was like very old.
Me and Brian, we drank some mimosas for breakfast and stuff, so a little bit. So like we got our spirits up and stuff. We're walking down, we're all happy walking down High Street and stuff, but it just drained you once you got to the stadium and you were like, oh boy, we're going to be here for like another 2 or 3 hours. And the thing is, like, kids were getting up in the middle of commencement speech to get hot dogs and nachos. Like, kids were eating nachos and hot dogs from the concession stand because people were dying in the stands because everyone was starving because it was taking forever.
That is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
There was 5 kids who got up in my row. They left for like 20 minutes. And they probably missed the entire speech that was given by the allergy doctor that was here. And they all came back with hot dogs and nachos. And
how was the speech? Good?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, like, he said some funny things. Like, he was just like, oh, I never really remember my commencement speaker. I never really remember what he said. And, like, like he joked around a few times and stuff. But the guy had an incredible track record. He was, like, one of the doctors who, like, were one of the first ones to discover the AIDS crisis in the 80s. He's done a lot of work with SARS and stuff like that, so he has an unbelievable track record as a doctor, and he's like his specialty is like allergy medicine and stuff like that. So I guess he's a very, very intelligent guy, but I had never heard of him beforehand. So, but I mean, it wasn't bad, and he only spoke for like 12, 15 minutes, thank God, because I know some people have gone on for a very, very, very long time, and it's just excruciating to listen to.
I'm trying to remember. My commencement speaker was awesome. It was this guy who he received a Purple Heart because his whole caravan when he was in the Marine, I think it was the Marines, was under fire in Afghanistan, and he returned like 7 grenades in a row. Just like a ton of people around him. A lot of them lost their weapons, and he's just down on the ground, grenade, chucking it back, grenade, chucking it back. And he told that story, and it was just really, really good. And I forget where I went, but I went somewhere in public, and I want to say it was like a Sox game or a Patriots game or even a Bruins game maybe. And he was there at that game. I think it was a Patriots game, but I honestly don't really remember. No, it couldn't have been a Patriots game. I haven't been to one. Anyway, it was awesome. And then he was in somewhere in public, and I was like, oh, damn, like, this is my guy. I don't know. It was cool, but my ceremony was much shorter than yours, so I guess I can't complain.
Yeah, mine went from like 12 o'clock to 3:30. I remember like running out of the stands, and me and my family went to go take a couple quick pictures on the Oval, and then we ran right to High Street, and I got into Chumley's thinking that it was going to be crowded. Dude, it was dead. Nobody was on campus afterwards. They as soon as the ceremony was over, everyone stuck around and found their spot on campus where they wanted to take pictures, and everybody went home. They all went home. There was no High Street was like a ghost town. Like I saw like literally 3 pieces of tumbleweed like roll down the street. Like literally no one was there. And I remember thinking like all these people I thought were going to have dinner reservations or at least want to go out and like celebrate and stuff. But I think it was because there was so many people out at the bars last night in the short north and stuff. I just figured that nobody wanted to even do another night of drinking and just like hanging out and stuff. So, but overall, it was a nice day. I can't complain. I got my degree, so that's all that really matters. I'm part of Ohio State alum, so it's cool.
At UNH, there's always like a small number of parents that go out to the bars, but like in Ohio, that's not that weird. Like Columbus is a city. Durham, New Hampshire, it's like really weird if you're over the age of like 23, 24 and you're at a college bar. It's very, very weird. So like even like unless it's a game.
It's like parents I see all the time in like Chumley's and stuff like that when we would go there for the games. Like no one thought that. Like of course there is like like okay, so there's a thing called Schooner Night. So on Monday and Thursdays, people would bring their big chalice, 2.5 beers worth for like $2. Like. It's crazy. But if I saw, like, somebody over the age of 30 there, I'd be like, all right, buddy, what the hell are you doing here? Like, that's a little different. But
so that's the thing, though, is that, like, the bars in Durham never really get anyone that's not a kid, not 21, 22 years old. And the funniest part about it is graduation night, it's, like, random assortment of dads and moms that are, like, waiting in line to go to these bars. And it's hilarious because, like it's kids who are just inappropriately intoxicated. Like
I'm sure UMass Amherst is the same way too.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very similar, but it's just really funny because you'll be like sitting at the bar talking to someone, you'll turn around and you'll just like have a conversation with someone's dad for like 45 minutes. It's hilarious.
So I'm gonna lead you into this right now. So while we were at Chumley's, actually, we were like eating dinner and stuff. We were watching. It's a big sports bar, so we were like watching some of the games and. You want to start off with the NHL or you want to start off with the NBA? I'm kind of excited. I want to talk about the NHL real quick because I had said something earlier about this, and I believe it most likely it's going to happen. Are the Washington Capitals on the verge of an epic collapse again?
Honestly, that's how it looks. That is exactly how it looks. And I don't know if
where does this put Ovechkin right now? If he loses a series, where does this put him? Because I honestly see him. He is the LeBron James right now before he joined the Miami Heat. Like, that's how I think he's being viewed at. He's a regular season hero, but his teams cannot get it done in the playoffs. But you can't give all the blame to Obi, but at the same time, like, he's still on the team. He's still, like, part of it. I mean, there's other guys, like, on the other team, like Backstrom and Holtby, who obviously got to step up a little bit better, like the goaltender. But, I mean, how do you associate him with that?
So Holtby still has like a 1.59 goals against average. Like he's playing unbelievable despite his really bad win-loss record. So I don't really put that much on Holtby. Ovechkin, if there is any year where you cannot call him the LeBron of hockey, this is the year. I think you're exactly right. In years past, he was exactly that. Probably even a little bit worse. He wasn't playing defense. He had no interest in playing defense. I remember in the series that the Capitals beat the Bruins, I think in 2012, it was 2012. He was sat. He was being sat in defensive situations in a close game, 2-1, 3-1, because their coach didn't want to put him in because he was a defensive liability. He completely changed his game this year, and a lot of that has to do with the new coach. Barry Trotz, and it's mostly because of him. Kind of said, "Hey, look, step up to the plate and play defense, or your ass is gone." And he's really got.
I think that I really thought that like the other night when they won and made the series 3-2. Like I don't know how I feel about this game. I really think that it really doesn't matter where the game's played. I could see Pittsburgh winning either or. Like I'm not scared for the Penguins to go to DC because I know they can win there. At the same time, I think it's more obviously that it's like I'm speaking the obvious here because the Penguins are up 3-2, but I'm trying to think as a guy trying to find a way to like at least piece the puzzle that how the Capitals get out of this debacle right now. It does not look good for them because this is exactly Capital hockey right here. They go into Pittsburgh for the next game, they win Game 6, and then they come home for Game 7 and they blow it. That like I totally can see the Penguins being that team that disrupts this. And I also can see Pittsburgh probably winning the game 4-1 on was it tomorrow night? I think they play.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my thought on that.
I think the bottom line with that is Pittsburgh is the better team right now. You see guys stepping up like Sheary. I think his name's Connor Sheary. He's playing on that Malkin line. Unbelievable player. And guys like Chris Kunitz, who've always been great players, are really stepping it up to another level. Look, the other night they had a too many men on the ice penalty, and they had Phil Kessel serve it. Phil Kessel, the guy who was the star of the Toronto franchise, who was a huge goal scorer, one of the better skilled players in the league, and you put him in the box because he's the least contributing player on the ice at that time. That's crazy. That's just a mark of how good this team is. And they're riding a hot goalie in what is his name? Matt Martin, I think his name is.
Yeah.
And Fleury is hurt, and that happens in playoff hockey. A guy gets hurt, like
is that necessarily a bad thing for Pittsburgh? I don't think so. I think Fleury is one of the most inconsistent players in the NHL.
Yes, he absolutely is.
He's been on, and then he's been absolutely horrendous. He's part of the reason why the Penguins have been so god awful, going up and down over the last few years. I mean, they didn't even make the playoffs last year, right? They were out.
They were doing.
They do. I don't even think they have goaltending problems anymore. I think it's no question that he's out of Pittsburgh next year. If Pittsburgh can get to the Stanley Cup, I don't see how Fleury comes back. He's too inconsistent. He's proved it over the years. I think that if the Penguins win Tuesday night and they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm excited for that series against Tampa Bay. I honestly think that the Penguins will win this series. I do not think the Capitals are going to come back from this. If they do, then I think the Lightning are in serious trouble because I think that the Capitals are going to get their mojo back and they'll figure things out. But right now, I think there's something in their head that is telling them this is a repeat. We're doing the same thing we've done in the past. This is not good. And I think the pressure is 100% going to be on them rather than guys like Malkin and Crosby who have won in the past. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh. I'm going to think they're going to win. I do not think that the Capitals will win. I am going to put them 3-1 on Tuesday.
Okay, all right. I will do the opposite. I will say the Capitals are going to win. They're going to do it in double OT, and it's going to be a 4-3 game. I will say.
All right, good. Briefly go over the other games. What a complete shit show of a series that was with the Islanders. It was like they won that magnificent Game 7, and they just did not even show up. I mean, they were out of there like that. I remember I looked up, like it had been kind of bad for me. I had school and stuff, and I wasn't able to pay attention to many of the hockey games going on. But I looked up at the screen yesterday, and the Tampa Bay was up, 3-0 in the first period. I looked up, I'm like, okay, like maybe they'll come back for this. What's this series? And I'm like 3-1. I'm like, oh boy, this is over. Bye-bye. So that's that. New York didn't show up. What's another series that? We got San Jose and Nashville just started 45 minutes ago.
Oh, it just started? Yeah, you're right. I guess.
Yeah, they started at 9 o'clock.
I have San Jose in that all the way. They are too good to beat. My dad said it the best. He said a lot of times the toughest game you play isn't the Cup Finals. It might be the first round, and I completely think that's true. They took down L.A. That's a team that they haven't been able to get over. That's a hump they haven't been able to get over. They did it. There's nothing standing in their way now. I think they're going to take it to the rest of the league, the rest of the West. They're going to take on whoever.
Well, speaking of that, I honestly think that. And by the way, San Jose's up 2-1 right now in the first period. Dallas is up 3-1, so St. Louis finally just got on the board. So I want to talk about that series for a little bit. That series has been great. I think both those teams are like spitting images of one another. I think either or they're both equal teams. I feel. I I expected the game's not over yet, but there's 3 minutes left in the second period. It's not over yet, but suspecting that the Stars hold on, they go back to Game 7. It's tied 3-3. What do you expect out of Game 7?
I like the Stars. I really thought St. Louis was the team to beat, especially because they took down Chicago in the first round, and kind of the same thing. Your toughest game might be in that round, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm excited for the West, but I'm excited for the West right now. You know why? Because you have Dallas, St. Louis, San Jose, and Nashville. Those are 4 teams that have not been in. Dallas was back there in 2000 when Mike Modano and all those were on their squad. But when was the last time St. Louis went to the Cup? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it the Bobby Orr game? Has it been that long?
I know the last time they've been to the conference finals is 2001. I don't know when the last time they were.
The Bobby Orr game was the last one. That was 45 years ago already. So I mean, it's been a while, and I don't think San Jose's ever been. Have they?
No, I don't think so either.
So I mean, I'm excited. It'd be cool to see one of those. I mean, one of those 4 teams getting to the Cup would be cool. It'd be nice to see the Stanley Cup setting in a different city for once. So yeah,
I'm just thrilled it won't be in Chicago. Honestly, I'm going with San Jose. I'm kind of hopping on that bandwagon. I think they're unbelievable. I think they've got an unreal power play. They're fast, they're speedy, they're deep. Their defense starts off real strong with Burnsy, and I kind of want Jumbo Joe to win a cup. He kind of got cheated out of one by getting traded, and I want him to win it.
I like any of these teams. Just to God, it's not the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I do not want them to win it. Let's move on real quick. Just look at time right now. NBA playoffs. What have you watched? What have you seen so far? Cavaliers don't look like they're going to lose again. But I will say this: they are playing the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the East is awful, and not that we didn't know that coming.
It's so bad.
I've watched a lot of the Toronto-Miami series, and I always find myself asking myself why. It's pretty bad. I don't know. I thought it is.
Go on what you're saying. Sorry about that. I interrupted.
No, it's okay. I think Toronto will pull this one off somehow.
Yeah, you know what? They were down 10.5, and now they're up 3 right now. It's 60-57 right now in the third. If they win this game, I think that series is over. I do not see how Miami will come back from 3-1. They're going to have to win 2 in Toronto and then at least 1 more in Miami. That'll be tough for them. I don't see that happening. I think that what is it? Whiteside, is that his name?
Yeah.
He fouls out. Whiteside. He fouls way too much. Way too much. I know he's a big defensive player, and I know that he's a big guy and he's always getting in the way, but he's either fouled out of the game or in foul trouble in most of these games. So I think that's a problem for them. Dwayne Wade has looked like his old self. I will say this in the playoffs. He's really molded back into old form, which is really nice to see. So I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Toronto's got a lot more spunk than them. I think they're a little more younger. I think they feel that they can compete with these guys. I think that the Raptors will end up winning the series.
Now, what do you think about what do you think about the West, and what do you think about more specifically the Spurs OKC?
That's the one I've been watching the whole playoff series for me. I honestly thought that the Spurs were going to win this in like 5 or 6 because I just think that like it would have been too much for OKC to carry with just Durant and Westbrook, and I'm not taking any credit away from either one of those two. They're 2 of the best players in the league by far. But Durant is showing why he's a top 5 player in the NBA right in this series. He had an incredible game last time.
Yeah, he had 41, right?
I'm only saying this right now, but I really think the Spurs' age overall is showing a lot in this series.
In a bad way, as in like
I mean, Danny Green was in the fourth quarter, had 0 points and 4 fouls. Like, you cannot have that happen with one of your players and towards that part of the game. And that is, to me, the epitome of an awful game. That is the worst game you possibly can have. When you can't get a single basket, but you are in foul trouble, you're 1 foul away from being out of the game. I mean, they got obliterated in that fourth quarter against OKC. Because I remember, I think it was Tony Parker. He had a big shot at the end of the third. They were up by like 4, and then they just didn't even show up for the fourth period. They lost by like 14. I'm interested in how it's going to turn out now. I expect that San Antonio will win Game 5, which stinks because I think if the winner of Game 5, I think will evidently be the one to win the series. I still am going to go with San Antonio, but if OKC wins the next game, San Antonio's in trouble, and I'm going to give the edge to the Thunder.
Yeah, I think I was talking to someone the other day at work, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's between it's between San Antonio and Golden State." And honestly, I think San Antonio can take down Golden State. And now I'm not even sure how crazy would it be if we have an NBA Finals where OKC is the team in it. That would be nuts. That would be unreal. That would go against everything anyone had ever played against.
I say from the West. Regardless, I think they could beat San Antonio or OKC in a 7-game series. I don't even think that Cleveland could beat Golden State. I really think they're going to repeat again. I think this whole thing with Curry being out is very, very helpful for the Warriors because I think they're playing with a sense like they're on the edge. Like their lead guy is out. Their MVP now is out. So now they're thinking to themselves like, okay, well, if they had struggled with Curry, like in this series, then this would have been a problem. Like if they were only up or if they were down like 2-1 right now and Curry was back, like they were probably thinking, oh, well, like he's on our team. Things aren't clicking right now. We got to figure things out quick. But they played pretty well without him. I mean, towards the end of the game against Portland, of course, they did not play good in Game 3. I'll give them that. But I will say this. The fact that Curry's coming back now, I think he's supposed to play. They said he was doubtful tonight, but I saw a video of him warming up. I really think that it's going to put more energy into Golden State, and I think that they're gonna use that drive, and it's going to bring them back to the NBA Finals. So
I don't disagree with you, but I will say that you do see a lot of times people's mojo kind of gets messed up when you do have an absence in the lineup, and then all of a sudden you have someone else who's taking more shots. Maybe it's Draymond, maybe it's Clay, but someone is.
Don't you think that takes up more pressure off those guys, though?
It does, but at the same time, you kind of see it with Cleveland. Like the Cavs are at their best when LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love aren't on the floor at the same time because it's many people to share the ball with. And Kevin Love loses productivity. I mean, we all know he's soft as hell anyway. But and LeBron is just not happy. Kyrie will drop 41, and LeBron will not get the ball enough, and all that crap. I don't think the Warriors are anything like that, but I do think that's a storyline that you kind of have to pay attention to going forward. And I don't know. I mean, in a perfect world, Steph lights it up, comes back. They're 30 for 30 on it. 16 years from now is going to be like when your point guard with every stat imaginable goes down with a knee injury. Black and white everywhere, like crazy graphics, and like a close up on Klay Thomas, just like a tear rolling down his eye. I think that's going to be great. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to that in like 20 years.
Oh my God. Yeah, those. I mean, who doesn't love those 30 for 30s? Those are all right. So that's our talk for NBA playoffs. So we're going to use the rest of this podcast time now to talk about music, I guess. So what are your thoughts? You were talking about the new Beyonce album.
It is fire. It is so good. Oh my God. I know, and Zach doesn't like Beyonce.
Yeah,
Zach doesn't like Beyonce.
All right, so it's not because I hate being put in this category because everyone's like, oh, you're just a hater, blah, 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 and like you just try to find things to like hate on, and you just don't like Beyonce because she's too popular, she's too mainstream. It's just I'm just not a fan of like I don't know, like I don't know. It's a mix of a few things. I'm not saying that I hate the new album. I can't say I've listened to it really to like make an opinion of it, but it just like in the past I've just never been a huge Beyonce fan, and I like pop music too. I mean I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know. Like I never really like clicked with her. I'm not just she's one of the most successful artists of all time. There's nothing to argue against that, but I don't know. She's never really done it for me.
Listen to it all the way through because it has Kendrick on it. It has James Blake on it. It has Jack White. It has. Am I missing someone? I think I am. It has The Weeknd on it. Those are like you love those four guys. You love.
I do. And at the same time, I like features on stuff, which is cool. But Beyonce is like notorious for like putting out this work of an album, but she has like 50 writers that come with the album. And to me, I feel like that takes a lot away from like somebody's like specialty. Like, all right, so I can't really like put this argument for Taylor Swift anymore after like last year's Grammy, because she like when she won the award for best song, she brought like 7 writers out on stage. But before she got to that point in her career, I mean, I felt like she wrote most of her songs like by herself. So I don't know. That's been my biggest criticizer with Beyonce, because I remember what was the song that she came out with like about Single Ladies? I remember she won the award for like Song of the Year for Single Ladies. And she didn't even go up and accept the award. It was like 9 guys that went up on the stage who were all credited as writers. She's a performer. She's not an artist, though.
Wait, she is an artist. She might not be a songwriter. She's still an artist.
There's a different. I mean, it's like Elvis. Elvis isn't an artist. He's a performer.
Yeah, but no. He's not a songwriter.
Yeah, but you have a songwriter and an artist. To me, is someone who performs and writes their music. You could be a performer. You could be a great performer. You can. I'm not saying that you're a bad performer because you don't write your own music. But if you're an artist creates something. That's this. Yeah, an artist creates art. Beyonce doesn't create art. Someone else writes it for her, and she performs it.
And I don't really know, so I don't want to blindly back this up, but if you give this a listen through, like this stuff just oozes her life right now, like all the rumors with Jay-Z and all that crap, and it kind of goes through the different stages. You have the song with Jack White, and it's her being pissed off, and the music video is her smashing a car with a baseball bat, and then you have like other stuff. I don't know. Give it a couple listens, man. I think you'll change your tone, and for those of you out there, It is fire. It is unbelievable. You guys got to go check it out. Even if you have no interest in Beyonce whatsoever, go check it out.
You know, like, all right, so I'm looking at these tracks, okay? So she has like it's a good album. If it's a good album, when I get a chance to listen to it, and it probably is, it's getting good reviews. I'm not hating on her her voice or her music. But 3 writers on the first track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 writers on the second track. Let's go to track 3. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not to mention the samples. So don't hurt yourself. It's a sample of When the Levee Breaks, okay? So all of Led Zeppelin is credited on this song with Jack White and Beyonce. But look at these. Look at Hold Up by Isra Cohen from Vampire Weekend. Not to mention there's 11 other people on this who I don't recognize off the bat right now. Beyonce is credited on every single song. So yeah, you can give her the brownie points because maybe Beyonce was looking over their shoulder when the song was written and she kind of told them about her life and then they kind of structured it for her, I bet. But to me, she's a performer. She's very talented. She has a great voice. She can dance very, very well. She puts on an amazing show. She's not a songwriter. She's not an artist.
All right. I'm going to disagree with term of artist, but I respect everything I can respect everything you have to say about that. No, she brought and I guess
she choreograph her own dances. If she does, then I'll give her the artist nod.
No, I feel like no one can do that. I feel like that's so. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, I'm
that. You think a lot of people
artists, but there's dancers who consider themselves artists who probably choreograph their own music. I mean, choreograph their own dances and stuff.
Like I guess a good example of that is Justin Bieber. Like
you're a dancer.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a dancer. If you're a good dancer and you're in a play, you're a dancer. You're not an artist.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But I don't know. Isn't dance an art at the same time?
It is an art, but I think that one's thing is it's like I think one is to create a little bit of something rather than have it done for them. Okay, get a bunch of dancers. Maybe they create their own routine at least. Like, oh, here's the move here. Here's the move here. That to me is art. You can say that it's an artist and stuff like that. I don't know this fact off the top of my head with Beyonce, whether she choreographs her music, I know she doesn't write her music on her own. But I've just been used to this in the past whenever she wins an award for something. It's like, oh, she won an award. Good for Beyonce. And then she doesn't even go accept the award. The fucking 8 other guys who are up on the stage go accept the award for her. Excuse my language. Didn't mean to drop that. But I'm just saying, like...
Podcast, it's fine.
Yeah, who's going to listen, right?
No. We got our fans. Taylor Nicholas Xavier, shout out to you. We got fans. We got crazy fans. No, I can agree with you, and I guess that's why people are so drawn to stuff like Prince. I guess that's a good example of it. Prince is known as being like a phenomenal athlete. He made his brand kind of himself. His music was pretty much done by himself. You know, he was a guitar player, so he was a true artist. Like
on Sign of the Times, Prince wrote and choreographed and played every instrument. That is an artist.
And you talk about the guy from Tame Impala. What's his name? Kevin Parker. And he plays every instrument on every album, and it's only on tour.
He produces and mixes it, so that's an artist to me. Elvis Presley, one of the greats. He didn't write his songs. He had people write them for him, or he covered them. To me, he's not an artist. Do I like Elvis's music? No. But he's a performer. Yeah. That's how I feel about that. Like, I mean, look at other famous bands, like famous pop bands, like U2 and stuff like that. They write their own music. Bono writes all the lyrics. There's nobody else in the room who's helping them out. Probably are, maybe like a few tip pointers. I mean, George Martin, 5th member of the Beatles, but most of like their music was written by themselves.
Yeah, but with U2, they started off not pop. They started off kind of punk. So you can kind of see that, and that's like, even though their sound changed, the roots kind of stay the same, where they do their own music, they write their own stuff, they kind of plan out their show, they have ideas swirling in their heads that they throw at people. Like, I guess Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters put on a crazy show, like lights, flashy, stadium rock, but it's there's a lot of stuff involved, but it's still pure rock. Like, even though it might be real flashy and not nearly as like down to earth as they once might have been, it's still rock and roll. They're gonna rock out. There's guitar solos. There's gonna be covers. They're gonna bring on guests. Like, it's still, and it's all coming out of Grohl and the rest of his band.
So I'm trying to pull up this article right now by Gigwise and people who are famous artists who don't write their own music. I'm trying to see who they have on this list. Okay, so like, yeah, I mean, Elvis Presley's one. They said Katy Perry doesn't write a lot of her music. Not surprised there. Diana Ross, not surprised there. Frank Sinatra is another one. Frank Sinatra didn't write his own music. He had people who wrote his own. I love Frank Sinatra. I think he's one of the greatest singers of all time. But he wasn't a songwriter. There were people who were songwriters for his albums. Like, in the Wee Small Hour of the Morning is one of my favorite albums ever. But Frank Sinatra is a singer. He's a performer. He sang all those songs beautifully, but there were a mix of songs written by different songwriters. And that's different when you that's the problem I have with Beyonce, because she's a very, very talented person. But I just think that at the same time, you also got to underline the fact that she has like 40 other songwriters in the room with her. It's not just her work.
Yeah, all right. You've convinced me. Yeah, all right.
You don't have to agree with me. I don't care if you do.
I know, but I do, because, I don't know. You're right. Like, it's much more impressive what Kevin Parker does. I don't know. But at the same time, she does do one thing very – no, I get what you're saying.
It's not, to me, it's not taking away from the music, and that's not the point I'm trying to make. Like, Elvis Presley and all these people, to them it doesn't matter. They've made hundreds of $millions off this stuff. I don't think Beyonce gives two craps whether people think that she writes her own music or not, because she makes like $500 million a year.
And if you were to tell people who love her music, they wouldn't give a shit either.
No, of course not. The diehard Beyonce fan would try to smack me in the face with the stuff I'm saying right now. But personally, I could care less. But I don't know. Someone like me, you can say it sounds pretentious, but I like listening to music that I enjoy. It makes me appreciate the artist a lot more, knowing that they write their own lyrics, knowing that it's them that write the songs. Like, people use music to relate with so many things in life, and I don't see how you can connect to a singer when you know she's not the one writing the song. It's like Beyonce writes a song about heartbreak or she writes a song about sadness, like, and she's got like people in the room with her, like, I don't know, writing the song.
Yeah, that's cool. Where you got Adele over there. I don't even know if Adele writes her own stuff completely.
I think Adele does. I think she does, but I'll double check on that right now.
All right. What else you been listening to?
I love the Sturgill Simpson album. Really good. Oh,
yeah, I have heard that. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Sailor's Guide to Life.
Yep.
The album is a letter to his recently born son. All the songs. Okay. So yeah, he was actually on. He was on Stephen Colbert the other night, a few weeks ago, actually.
The Waffle House.
Yeah, he did a song with the Waffle House, and then he also he performed "Brace for Impact," which is a great song. Sounds better on the album, and the thing is, I thought it was interesting. So Nirvana's Facebook page posted on their own page the Sturgill Simpson cover of "In Bloom." So if you guys haven't heard that yet, he covered "In Bloom" for like a psychedelic country of it, and it's great. It's amazing. I think it's a great cover of it. Yeah, if you want to like look at me and criticize me, like, oh yeah, he didn't write the song, whatever that doesn't go. He wrote the rest of the album, so that's like one song he covered. But let's get back to the song here again, because I thought someone was gonna like at least take what I said out of context and be like, oh well, you just had this whole argument about all this stuff and blah blah blah. He writes his music. Sturgill wrote every song on the album except for that one, which I think "In Bloom" actually kind of connects very well with what he was talking about. But Sea Songs, "In Bloom" was a great cover. Sarah's song, I think, is the other one that was. I think it was one of the tracks. He performed that on Conan not too long ago either. But yeah, great album if you haven't checked it out. Sturgill, I think, is the best country artist out there right now. Definitely not the most popular. We can say the same thing about Sturgill Simpson in comparison to our little fake country guys like Jason Aldean. Sorry, Dad. I know you saw him in concert the other night, but I can't stand him. But
I've thought long and hard about this, because sometimes I am just in the mood for some really basic, like Kenny Chesney, like Florida Georgia Line, and I know it's like a guilty pleasure almost. I know Zach's eyes are like lighting up right now. No, it's just like
any of them are fine. I just cannot stand Florida Georgia Line. Oh man, they are awful.
I worked with a guy who hated Kenny Chesney, and he said once Kenny Chesney stops finding rhymes to word with beach, he's gonna be out of business. I think Kenny Chesney is like at the top.
I like Kenny Chesney though,
but he writes his own songs. You kind of know that there's meaning behind him. He's not like, I don't know, like
I think he's a good performer too. I like him.
I've seen him twice. He's fantastic at performing, but he, like Florida Georgia Line, like you kind of get the vibe that every single song is the same, like the Nickelback of country.
Great comparison.
I say that about Luke Bryan. I think Luke Bryan is the Nickelback of country, but whoever his songwriters are, because I know he doesn't write his own stuff.
Luke Bryan is he's like, to me, it's so sad because his voice has so much potential in country music. Like, I'm not telling him to go out and do something weird. That's anyone's decision if they want to like do something alternative. But I just think that his music is getting more and more pop than anything. Like, you hear songs like "All My Friends Say," which is like country, and then
All my friends say I started shooting. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I started singing that. I love that song though.
Yeah, that's a great song. I love old Luke Bryan, but he just continuously just turns more pop. And I just don't like. I'm like, Luke Bryan, don't go to country fests. Claim you're a country artist when you're singing pop songs. Like,
well, he's got the southern accent. I just think the whole like, I've seen Luke Bryan too, because of when I worked at Gillette, and he's a good performer. He put on a really good show, and that made me respect him a little bit more. The whole like the whole hip roll like thing, kind of weird, bro. It's kind of weird. I don't know if you should keep doing that. Kind of weirds me out, and I know the girls like all scream, but one day you're gonna be like 50 years old, you're still gonna perform, and it's gonna be really weird.
If he's still good looking, the girls won't care, especially if it's all like moms that are the same age as him or a little bit younger. anymore. So
I know, but I saw George Strait. George Strait still gets a crowd going crazy, but like doesn't do weird shit like that. And it like the women still swoon over him. Like I don't know. Maybe he'll keep doing it. Maybe he'll stop. I'm like I don't know. Like you got a wife and kids. Like your kids are like 8. Like they can see that. Like what are they gonna be like? Oh, maybe am I being old? Am I being a grandpa right now?
no, I don't think you're being a grandpa at all. I just think that like I think you see it over and over again. You just kind of get distasteful of it. You know, it's like
yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if I liked him better, I wouldn't care, and he could do whatever he wanted. But I think that's weird.
To me, with country though, it's like I listen to like the new country, and it's like okay, like you know, like if I'm at a tailgate and like I've had a few beers, it's like this is fun to listen to. But I also have the experience, like I was sitting in Bakersfield, which is a restaurant in the short north. Great restaurant, great tacos. And their theme is like Western. And they play country music. And the music there is like outlaw country. They play like Hank Williams and Waylon Jennings and stuff.
That stuff is awesome. That is the best.
And sitting there drinking, listening to those guys is just, that to me is like, makes me feel good. Like when I'm just sitting there with like a beer in my hand and all of a sudden just hear, let's go to Lukenbach, Texas with Waylon and Willie and the boys. Like, you know, stuff like that. Like I'm listening to some Waylon and or like some Hank Williams Jr. Family Tradition or like Whiskey Ben and Hellbound. Like that to me, like I love the outlaw country. But that's why I like Sturgill Simpson a lot. He has that outlaw voice. He's got that like, he's got that attitude where he just doesn't want to do anything to do with the pop country music that's out today. And he's made that clear on his first album days, where one of the tracks quote says, and I'm fed up with all you country stars playing, no, I'm tired of you all playing dress up and singing country songs, is the quote that he says on there. So I really think he's taking a personal jab at like Florida Georgia Line, Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, who's another one that is getting really. Those are the 3 notorious ones right there. But you can other ones.
You know what? Well, I will say first of all, I did the experiment. I gave the CD to my grandfather, and I said, I want you to listen to this and tell me what year you think they're from. And he thought that Sturgill Simpson was from like the 80s or 90s, which I think is the ultimate compliment to Sturgill.
Yeah.
But you know what? And I've read an article about this, and I know some people have talked about it, but it's not really touched upon enough. So country music, and it's like when we were growing up, like my grandfather listens to nothing but country music. For a while, that's all my mom would listen to too. And like Shania Twain.
That's all my dad listens to now. He just doesn't listen to anything else besides country music.
My dad actually, yeah, my dad started listening to it too. He still listens to a lot of other stuff, but he hated it growing up, and now he starts to like it. But it used to be like big name women like Dolly Parton was huge. Faith Hill, like I said, and Carrie Underwood has kind of broken through, but there's really
you say Shania Twain probably too in country, not really.
Yeah, so absolutely. But Taylor Swift was like on that track, and then she went totally pop, which I like her sound, but it's a big hit from the country community. Like that was her, she was theirs, like she was their country female. She was up and coming, and then she went pop, and she kind of strayed away. And she has no country roots anymore. You can't tell with the new stuff, which is fine. Clearly, she wanted to get away from that. I think the country sound might not have been all of her idea to begin with. It might have just been her brand. But I think that they need a big woman's country star. Casey Musgraves was kind of coming onto the scene and seemed like that. Like she was winning awards. It seemed like she was going to break through, and she kind of plateaued a little bit. And I don't know if there's someone else coming along or if someone who's already existing is going to really break out. But I think a badass women's country singer is like one of the best things in music.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like it's necessary. I also think that like you speaking of this connection you say with like your mom and your dad like listen to the country. And my dad told me this too. Like a lot of the main reason why he listens to country so much now is because he just wants to hear like guitars. And everything's like recycled like pop and stuff like that. And rock music isn't really popular on the charts really. Like not even like a rock band. I mean, you could I can't even think of like a rock band right now that's on the pop charts that you can really like Imagine Dragons have gone a completely different direction. I think they're not even more of like a band really anymore now. They've gotten completely pop. I mean, they had a little bit of like rock sound to them, but not so much. Like Radioactive really isn't much either. So I think it's more just.
I don't know if that's exactly like the more I listen to it, kind of think that was what they were going for. Like they weren't trying to be rock; they kind of stumbled into that role, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like the Killers were another band like that. Like like they started off a little bit of rock, and they kind of just developed into this like really poppy sounding bands. Like what's that? I'm trying to think of a part like Human. Are We Human? That song they have, like that's a big transition from their old stuff. Like
That's yeah. Well, even you look at, I know you don't like Mumford and Sons that much, but their old stuff with the banjo and the mandolin and the really fast plucking.
Not that I have a problem with Mumford and Sons. It's not that I despise them. It's just that every song has this. Marcus Mumford thinks he's fooling everybody with that guitar riff. Like it's the same one on every single song. But I will say this: I loved the Wolf?
Yeah.
That song is great.
That's the thing, is that the new album, I think they kind of caught on, and it didn't take them too long.
People were pissed because like the people were just like, well, they stick with the guitars and they don't want to like they don't stick with the acoustics. They pick up electric guitars, and now they're going to use this on the album. And then everybody like the critics hate Mumford and Sons. They always bash their albums. They think they're like generic, which I agree with. I think they are, but I also thought the new album did not.
They only have 3 albums. You can't be. I feel like you can't be generic until you have at least 5 out.
Yeah, exactly. But like they hear the first album, then they hear like, I don't know. The first album comes out, you hear like The Cave. Is that what it is? The Cave. What was the other song? Little Lion Man. So a lot of those songs have that guitar riff that I'm talking about that Marcus Mumford loves to play. And then the second album comes out. Like the banjos are on. It's like I Will Wait. I never forget this. Like I was driving in the car. I'm listening to WBRU. Murder is not even the word to describe what they did to that song. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. We're done. But I'm just saying. So I Will Wait comes on. I hear it like the banjos and the guitar going on and stuff. Like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like Mumford and Sons are back. So then the music starts, and then Marcus comes back in to start singing, and there it is again. It's like, all right, okay, buddy. Like, it's been 4 years since your last album. You haven't really thought of a different guitar riff. This is a little weird. So, like, I think that's the reason why critics gave him so much crap. But at the same time, like The Wolf, I love that song. I think it's great. The only Mumford and Sons song I can go back to, listen to without like cringing.
No, I agree with you, and I think I saw them live and completely changed my kind of viewpoint on everything, because I was a big fan of like the banjos and everything like that. And I was kind of pissed when they took it out. Even though I like the new stuff, I do like the new album. I feel like it's tough. They have 3 albums. The first 2 kind of sounded a lot like the third one they mixed it up. So I feel like to bash them for being generic is pretty unfair. But I guess you did say that they sounded like they were going in the direction of like the Killers and bands that already existed. But like I don't know. Anyway, that you're kind of right. Like the first album, everyone's like, "Oh, what is this, folk? What is this, alt rock, indie? I don't know." And people were
head over 2008. We're talking about this came out, but it didn't get popular until like 2009, 2009. I would even say it came out in 2008, but it wasn't really popular until like our senior year of high school, which was 2011.
I remember like watching music videos before going to school and seeing the Little Lion Man music video, and I was like, this stuff is cool. And it kind of opened up a new genre, like opened people's eyes to it. I don't know if it did so much.
I remember loving the bridge, the Little Lion Man, when they're all singing and all the instruments are going on, and the ending to that was like great song, but it, like once again, like,
well, it definitely got killed by the radio.
Bleep overplayed it. Not going to use the name because I've already talked about it enough. But most places that's what happened too. So
yeah, I don't know. Well, what else? What do you listen to? What else do you? What's on your playlist right now? I will say, all right, I've re-listened to Life of Pablo, and I love it. I think it's fantastic.
We talked about this already. I can't get into it. I can't. I don't like it. I'll tell you why. I'll give you a good reason why I can't get into it. Just this week, I was at Big Bar. We're celebrating. This was 2 days after the senior crawl. So it was a bunch of buddies and I we got out of work around like 12:30, and we're all headed to Big Bar. It's all like it's a the restaurant I work at, it's jointed together. So like this little bar, big bar, and chop shop, which is where I work part-time. And we go to Big Bar, and the DJ plays Gold Digger by Kanye West.
I'm
just thinking, like, wow, like, I'm really listening to this more. Like, I always knew this was a great album. The Late Registration's awesome album. And Gold Digger is a great song, and it was a #1 hit. And I'm like, this is great. And, like, Kanye's actually rapping, and then he remixes it and puts Famous on. And I hear Kanye rapping on Famous, and I'm just like, he's not the same. He's just gone downhill. Like, it's different, though, because you expect people to change, but at the same time, it's like he got worse. And he did. He got worse.
You know what this tells me? You missed
that I'm getting old?
Kanye. You missed the old Kanye. Straight out the soul Kanye.
Yeah, I do, without that annoying song telling me like a billion times. But he's always been a prick. That's one thing with Kanye. And the thing is, like, I have a hard time going back to his music sometimes. I had to mentally prepare myself before I listen to Kanye West again because he's pissed me off so many times over the last few years over just saying arrogant and ignorant stuff to the media and to people and to his fans. Like, I just don't think he's a generally good person. But I do think.
Oh, I don't think so either. He might not be a bad person, but I think he just doesn't come off as a good guy either way. What I'm gonna go through. So we agreed when we kind of first went over the album. You liked Ultralight Beam. You thought it started off solid, right?
Yeah, I did, but I never went back to it. You know, it was one of the, like, to me, like, if a track stands out, I know I will find myself, like, yearning later on in the day that I want to go listen to it again, and I never got that with that song.
I will say,
I think it was a little boring for an opener, though.
I will say I didn't give it a second listen until I went back, and I downloaded the entire album. I didn't go listen to the download right away. I saw it on Spotify, and I was like, I'm going to give it another shot. He remastered a lot of it, and I know we talked a little bit about it. The remaster solved so much stuff. First of all, on Waves, that song alone has become banger from what he's done.
But you know what else sucks, though? And it's just, Father Stretch My Hands, I was like, it had so much potential, that intro going on. They're like, "Wada, if young Metro don't trust you, and the beat comes in, you're like, oh, yeah, this is good. And then, like, you know, Kanye's like, oh, like, you know, like, it's like, okay, like, you know, he's doing this and stuff. And then all of a sudden, he says, I just got bleach on my T-shirt because I just fucked a girl with bleach on her asshole. It's like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, this beat was so good. It was so good. And then the opening hook to that song is a cringeworthy line that is so stupid. And that's why I get so angry about this stuff with him.
I don't even want to talk about it. Don't even want to talk about it.
You are talking about it, dude.
No, I can agree. It's definitely not one of his best, but I will say I like it, and I've listened to it a lot. I think him sampling Panda I think that's hilarious. Famous, I think it's very good. None of these songs are great. I think the people that think it's his. I've never heard anyone say it's his best album. I have, but like not to single anyone out, but like Jake called it his best album. But I think
brother.
Yeah, like when he first listened to it. I don't know. He's probably changed his mind since.
He better have changed his mind. Come on, man, that's ridiculous.
But I think like a lot of younger people who didn't experience, like, the reason that The College Dropout resonates with me is because it was coming up it came out and I started listening to it in a time where I was like headed to college, and I feel like there's more meaning behind it, and that's why it stuck with me so much. But this doesn't have meaning to it that much. Like, I know it doesn't
have meaning to it. It can be a good album and not have meaning to it, you know. But I just don't think it's a good album.
But so I will admit I've been listening to a ton of this. Another thing that I kind of strayed away from, got back into churches, listening to a lot of churches again, and they still can do no wrong.
They're great. Saw them in concert last fall. Great band. Love them. They have a lot of good songs.
What do you think about? Have you heard Jungle? Do you listen to Jungle at all?
The band Jungle?
Yeah.
Is that the band that sings Busy Earnin'?
I will tell you in a second.
I don't know. I knew a band. It is?
Yeah.
They got a lot of airplay on CD 1025. We loved that song when it came out. It was really funky. Thought it came out in like 1981 at first.
Yeah, no,
They're like a big British band. They're like the modern Earth, Wind and Fire. They have like 20 people in their band, I think.
they have a music video for that song actually, and everyone's on rollerblades. It's awesome. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so that kind of sums up. I've been listening to a lot of. I usually listen to the same old things, mix of like indie barcade, like psychedelic pop, or right now I'm listening to my outlaw country playlist.
What
So
about Chris Stapleton? You like him?
who?
Have you ever heard him?
Yeah, Chris Stapleton's good. Like him. He's good. I actually listen to. This is gonna sound real country hipster to me, but I actually listened to that album before he went on stage with Timberlake, and I'm really happy because I always thought like he's got this badass country side to himself, and I'm really like, and like and he teamed up with Timberlake and him killed it at the Country Music Awards, and then he kind of blew up after that, which is good.
Justin Timberlake?
What?
Justin Timberlake?
Yeah, dude, that's the only reason why Stapleton went #1.
I had no idea.
At the CMAs last year, he sang with him on stage, Justin Timberlake and Chris Stapleton.
I had no idea.
Yeah, dude. After he did that, his album went #1 right after.
Huh. I think unreal. I only discovered him. I remember my dad put him on in the car. Or no, I put him on in the car, and my dad was like, "Oh, I love this song." I was like, "You know this?" He was like, "Yeah, I have the whole album." I was like, "I found him last week." All right.
Yeah, it's probably around the time that awards thing came out because I know his album got really popular. But I know that even though I hate reading their articles a lot, Rolling Stone had recommended him early in the year as an up-and-coming country star before that whole thing happened. And yeah, that's how I found out about him. But yeah.
I'm gonna go off. So we've talked about this before. Rolling Stone needs to stop freaking telling me. I know it does this on purpose because I know its readership is like it's pretty liberal, like college kids, hipsters.
Pretty liberal.
I'm saying the readership. I'm saying I'm not obviously the magazine is very liberal. I'm saying the people who read it. I read it because I like reading about my favorite artists. I think when I get an issue in and there's a feature on Macklemore, it's done tremendously. I think they do stuff on like other authors and it's done tremendously. Like no one like the New Yorker does sometimes, but like most people don't write about people who write books. That doesn't happen, but they will if the book's like good enough, and I think it's fantastic. But I'm sick of getting freaking issues of Rolling Stone in my mailbox with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton on the cover. Sick of it. It's and like I just picked one up the other day. I cleaned my apartment, and it was like Battle in Brooklyn, the Democrats' best showdown. It's like, really, you think this is the party? There have been some fantastic, and I'm not a right wing guy. Like I'm not hardcore right wing by any means. But stop telling me that this stuff is good.
You don't have to be hardcore right wing to know this. It's like the media today is just kind of like hyping everything up. Like I don't think that's really right wing at all when you can distinguish between the two. I think my dad said a quote once. Like I remember he had posted something that was like not against a liberal value. And some liberal on Facebook, I'm not going to say who it was, got pissed off and like commented on his status and stuff. And he was like, "Oh, it's because you're like a Republican, Ted, blah blah blah." My dad was like, "I'm not a Republican or Democrat." And I thought that was kind of funny. But like, I think what it really means is like you got to distinguish between the two sides and really go for what you believe, because a lot of these publications are very, very they are very, very liberal. But that's all I'm going to say about that. That's another topic for another day. But all right, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah. Final thoughts. Do you want to go first or should I go?
You can go first.
All right. Been doing a lot of yoga. Been feeling real good. A lot of yoga. I don't know. That kind of just came to me in my mind. I'm reading. Oh, right now. So I'm reading The Big Short. You know, the movie that came out. I think Steve Carell was in it. So I'm reading the book right now, and it's not a very long read. It's like 280 pages. But I know nothing about the stock market. I won't say I know nothing about the stock market. I know nothing about the bond market, and I know nothing about the housing market. So I'm reading like every page over twice to try and understand it. So I'm not that far into it right now. About like 70 pages in, 80 pages in. It is fantastic. And I always knew Michael Lewis was a great author. Moneyball was one of the first, but I read that in like seventh. Blindside, much better. The movie's really Hollywooded. But the book is fantastic. really good writer, and he does this justice. It's kind of frightening once you kind of look at it. Some of the stuff they do, but it also, the coolest part is kind of a look inside the mind. A lot of these guys stumbled into finance. Like one guy went to law school, hated it, and his family was a member of Oppenheimer. They worked for Oppenheimer, and they were like, yeah, we can get you a job if you want to do it. It's not going to pay much at first. And he was like, get me out of law school. Boom, started working for them, discovered this housing market. Another guy was a doctor, was in the last years of his residency, and was like, nope, I hate this. I don't really like this at all. I'm going to go into finance. So really kind of teaches you what it takes to be that kind of guy, to be able to impact an entire market of a country. So read it if you get the chance. It's real good. Definitely.
Yeah. So do you watch Game of Thrones?
No, I'm not a Thrones guy. I should start. I tried starting yesterday, and I just kept doing something else.
I'm all caught up, and well, let me say this: last 2 episodes, crazy, insane. I'm not gonna send it. I can't. If you're really gonna start this, I won't say anything about it. But a lot of big, crazy things happen, and it's been my brain in a knot the last like few hours. So can't wait till Sunday. Season's been pretty great so far. But yeah,
I might turn this off and watch the episode. I might go watch the first episode now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best shows I've ever watched. I love it so much. We're all obsessed here.
I've heard a lot. I've heard that statement a lot, and you know how I know it's true? Because one of my old roommates texted me the other day, yesterday actually. He wanted the login information for the Xfinity, and I was like, "Oh, you watching Thrones?" Figured he must, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm on season 4, episode 6." And I was like, "Oh, cool." He goes, "Yeah, I started 4 days ago."
Yeah, it was like you binged, dude. That's how it is. Like, it's crazy. I binged the first 2 seasons, and I caught on within season 3. And dude, it's been so good. This season has a lot of hype. I'm excited.
Have you ever seen The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
No.
Hilarious. That's all. It's on Netflix. It's only Netflix. My buddy JLo recommended it to me. Awesome show. Like only 20 minutes long, so you're not too invested into it, but just, I don't know, hilarious. Kind of like, it's made by Tina Fey. I think I like Tina Fey, but I think that some of the stuff she does just is a little over the top or not my style.
I like Tina Fey too. She's kind of funny.
But she kills it with this show. It's got, I will say that the 3 main characters are a girl who was held captive in a bunker by a priest, and it's as messed up as it sounds, but they make light of it. It's hilarious. A gay black guy from Mississippi moved to New York and changed his name to Titus. And one of my favorite scenes in it is that they're talking about, he was like, "Oh, high school was so rough for me," and it does a flashback, and it's this guy in a Letterman jacket, and his buddy goes, "Hey, that touchdown dance you did the other day was hilarious, man." And he goes, "Yes, I like sports." And then a girl comes over and is like, "You're gonna sleep with me tonight." And he goes, "Yes, I like girls." And then it's like, "High school was horrible." It's like just a little insight. And then the 3rd main character is this crazy, batshit crazy old woman who's their landlord, and just like they'll come home and she'll be hanging out in their apartment and watching Wheel of Fortune. It's hilarious. So if you get a chance, it's like just watch a couple episodes. You won't be let down. The first 2 minutes of the show are a riot.
All right, sounds great. So I guess that's all I have to say for today, man.
All right. Well, to everyone, we're sorry for the hiatus. We had a lot of stuff going on, and we're really happy you're sticking with us. And thank you for watching. And keep on the job update. Zach is a free man of only owned by his student debt now. So
exactly. So I wouldn't necessarily say too free. I got a lot of other things I got to be preoccupied with the next few months. So let's see. We'll go from there. But all right, I'm Zach from Columbus.
I'm Sully. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it.
All right. See you later.